Now, the equities market opened the year on a positive territory as the Nigeria Exchange All-Share Index appreciated by 0.73% to close at 43,026.23 basis points, as against plus 2.16% appreciation recorded previously. Market breadth closed positive as Academy led 17 gainers, as against 25 losers, topped by NNFM at the end of yesterday's session. Market turnover, however, closed negative as volume dropped by minus 51.81% as against the positive outlook of 24.89% uptick recorded in the previous session. Chams, Wema Bank and Zenith Bank were the most active stock to boost market turnover. Zenith and Nigerian breweries topped market value list. To further analyze this market and what went down in the stock markets yesterday, we have Ambrose Omodio, Chief Research Officer at Invest Data Limited. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Good to see you in this new year.
Yeah,
Happy New Year to you.
Same to you.
Now, looking at the market, it started the year on a positive note with 0.73%. And this is more or less, is it a good news or a bad news for investors?
It's a good news after that because also people expect that there will be January effect in this month of January. But I'll tell you, Nigeria is changing gradually in terms of market movement in January. In the last 5 years before this month, we saw that January was up for 3 good years. Now it's another year that we expect that it should be up again. Why I say so is that you can see that crude oil price was almost at $80 yesterday. It's a positive sentiment for the market, and also we're expecting that those companies that had December year end will start releasing the results for unaudited account from this month of January that entered 31st December. If those numbers start coming and they are positive, directing where the agreements of dividend payment, that will turn the face of the market. But you see that since we have seen that in the first quarter of the year, anytime in Nigeria, is the way we have the earning season that it peak, because that is where those companies that had December year that pay their dividend, they reward investors in that first quarter. That means they will come up with activities of volume, in terms of demand for stock, and in terms of activities. That is where you see funds coming back to the market to look for dividend.
You talked, sorry to button, but you talked about an increase in which we saw, of course, the increase in the price of crude oil. What would you say is responsible for that?
No, crude oil, people are saying because of the, what's it called, the Omicron need to drop. But OPEC meeting was held yesterday, and they try to manage their supply. And when it comes up, that is why the price, that is why I tell you that crude oil price always oscillate within that either $70 to $80 within this period, because OPEC will not allow the price to go down, because it's going to affect all the OPEC countries if the price go down. No, but I believe that if many companies again go ahead and start releasing their lockdown because of Omicron, that will be also increase demand for crude oil. That will drive the price up. Don't forget that when the price is up here in Nigeria, it will impact our reserve. And when it's apart, that means we have money to manage our FS.
Even though it doesn't reflect on the price of PMS.
Yeah, but it will not help us to manage our FS, because if we are selling at high price, the talk of Nigeria, our standard reserve will go up. Then the CBN will see FS to manage what is going. For me, it's a good one for our nation, Nigeria. But let's expect that in the new year as we are going,
before we talk about the new year, what does this positivity, this new outlook, what does it mean for investors?
For example, now they will also saw the first reading, the other day is the second trend of the. If this trend of that positive trend we saw yesterday continue today, it's a good one. But I'm saying that the crude oil price hitting $80 again is also a plus for the market, because in Nigeria, if you look at when oil price is going up, our market moves up in that direction. That means that there's positive sentiment when oil price is going up, because major kind of income or revenue to Nigeria is crude oil. And when it's going up, you see foreign investors start looking at. And also, if you look at the activities in the market yesterday, there are some stock that you see foreign investors are having interest in Nigeria. Stock like XS, stock like Steplat, GTB. See that they are still and the Nigeria brewery. There are still kind of activities of foreign investors. While others like MTN and Dangote, you see their demand was not too strong. But that is that as the year is just beginning, most of the fund managers also have not resumed. That means we have to see the end of this week to see whether they are back. That's why, if you look at market yesterday, it was just a missed market for me, because the volume was not much, because most of the traders are not available. They are still already.
So, are you optimistic? We're starting on a good note. Are you optimistic that trend will continue?
Yeah, we expect that. After we have seen a strong rally on the last day of the year, so yesterday, but because of profit taking and from tomorrow Thursday is there, but profit taking is part and parcel of the market. No, it's probably going to be afraid because anybody that made money has to take profit. That means when I take profit, you don't need to be afraid because another person will buy that stock because it's targeted to make profit again. That means it is when there's a negative news that the market is going to start panicking. But if the market is experiencing profit taking activity, you don't need to panic because it's part and parcel of the market anywhere in the world.
So what are your predictions, your outlook for 2022?
For me, I see also a mixed market, very volatile market in this year because there will be policy changes going forward. That also affect the market. But for smart investors, we always say anywhere that are knowledgeable because don't do the market to follow your friends. Have information, know what you're investing. For those guys that are really have information in the market, this authority we are seeing, those relations will also create opportunity for them. Like what I told them last week, I was discussing that. Subsidy as they are planning. There are some companies that also are still going to give you good dividend, and that dividend will support their price, and good earnings will support their price. For that, go move your investment to that companies or that window. No, you don't need to be complaining. It's about when you're playing ball. If you see where the game is, you move to that side where the game is, and maybe you want to say because the government want to change policy, maybe panic already. No, you have to be set again. That's why investors have to go ahead of the government as they are making announce their policy. You start interpreting the policy where it's going to favor you. Position ahead of because every investment is a good expectation. That means you need to take position before it materializes.
So you see investors taking advantage of this new positivity. You're talking about proactiveness, that they should be proactive in their moves.
Exactly. You don't need to wait until you see the number. Like now we're saying they were expecting a non-audited account to come. If you are waiting to see that number, that means you're a baby investor. You need to position ahead of the number. When the number comes, it's positive, market reacting, you have made some money and you start living. Because if you're an income investor, I'm a trader, we'll have different goals in the same market. You'll be waiting for dividend to cash. Me, I'm waiting to make capital position and move. That means that's why the market is so interesting. Because a market where we have all traders, is one way. But since the market have traders and investors are thinking long term, while I'm taking short term, both of us are in the market trying to look into information. That's why the market will balance. That's why when we say foreign investors have left a market for good, I tell you that it's for good. Because if foreign investors enter, we have a lot of fun in the market. If there's any shake in Nigeria, now that we're in pre-election year, foreign investors, if they are the one controlling the market now, as from let's say April or May, when they start selling, the market will be bleeding. But now they're not in the market. We might have said through 2020, 2021, I believe we also manage ourselves Nigerians because who have the job of the market now as local investors. It's good for us. But when you are dependent on foreign investors, you can't plan with your market. Even though you are targeted to come and invest in your economy, invest your market, you don't leave the market for them. But when they're in the market, there's no stability in the market. But as a mature economy, they will allow foreign investors to come and take 60% of their market. But here in Nigeria, we allow them to do that. When they are going, market will be bleed. But if you are giving them 20%, they are in this market, they are going, you feel much of their impact.
You talked about subsidy removal earlier. You said that that would also have an effect on the economy. But if you look at that vis-a-vis the stock exchange market, how do you see it reflecting or affecting the market?
No.
Because there have been predictions in some quarters that the government may not even remove the subsidy.
If they do that, we will be hearing story again of development. Because when you ask government why not doing, they said they are doing subsidy. What is that? Many Nigerians are paying from their nose to buy the phone even on the pump price about 174. Then what are subsidy? Then before now, earlier when they came in government, we were told that they were subsidy remover. Later you go back to that same subsidy. Then we have not seen the part even when they are subsidized at this point. Let them remove. Let's see where we are. Only that we don't have statistics that if they remove the subsidy today, we don't know where we are going to put them. That's why Nigeria.
There's no transparency.
Yeah, Nigeria is not. We are not trusting our government to that level because if the government that come to that level can't trust them. Okay, yes, okay, this subsidy we are putting 200 billion every month or every year. And okay, now people buying fuel at 200, 250, but this 800 billion we are putting. We're going to put all the roads in order, all the airport in order. We know that in the next 3 years, we are taking 800 billion to do one. We'll see what it's doing because we'll see it's physical. But now we don't know. We say, okay, you want to pay Nigerians, 5,000 for, if in case you move because of transportation. You have data. That means some people in the government will be rich. Because you don't have the data to say, okay, you are sending it to social person. And also, if you give them 5,000 naira, that will not do anything for them.
So let's look at that vis-a-vis the stock market.
Stock market, if they remove the subsidy today, there are some certain in the market that's going to gain from it. I'll tell you, the oil and gas sector will gain from it because most of them are to speak now. With this new rule, they want to remove subsidy, they will go and get their inventory down at the old price. Then, if you take away the price, the new price will if they now increase the price, the old stock will be sold at the new price. automatically it will be what we call profit sharing. You will see huge profit from that, because if you bought now, for example, now at that 69 or 62, and government move the price to 270, or then you have made good money from there. For me, that is sector that brings, but the other sector will suffer because the cost of production will go up. And if government is going to eat up into your what? Into your profit, unless those companies that are able to pass their cost to consumer by increasing the price of their goods or services and able to have good patronage. But we know that when your price is high, I'll tell you, demand of your product will drop, unless that product is essential.
Now let's look at investors' position. What position should they take, and what sectors should they be looking at?
For me, investors in Nigeria at this point should look at, which sector will benefit if there's subsidy removal. Like you just said now, they are likely not to remove it. Fine. Okay, if they remove it and inflation continue to trickle down, as it is now, start declining, that means there are some sectors also benefit. That means some funds also leave the equity market. Because if inflation continues to go down and there is little adjustment in interest rate, funds will leave the equity market to where there's better returns. Because in equity market, in any investment climate or financial market, funds move in circle, looking for where there's higher return. We call it circular flow of funds, looking for where can make more return. If they increase interest rate, then it's going to affect the equity market.
All right, we'll definitely continue the conversation, but we have to take a breather now. We'll be right back. Please stay with us. All right, thank you so much for staying with us. I still have Ambrose Omodium with me. He is the Chief Research Officer at Invest Data Limited. Thank you so much for staying with us.
Thanks for having me.
Now, let's look at the direction of the stock market now. You've done a lot of analysis as regards what the new year would be like. But let's see what direction the market will be taking this 2022.
No, I've said earlier that we expect a volatile market for the year 2022, but I'm looking at what will happen in the month of January, as we are now. Because January, I said last year was up almost 5.8% up before it declined in February. Now we're all seeing a good start for this year, 2021. Then 2022, sorry. Then, what are the factors that also will drive the market up? And it's time to look at your technical to see the sentiment in the market as speak now. That's why I want to look at this chart now to tell you where the market is heading for this week and for the rest of the month. That will tell you it is the market behavior. And I tell you, factor that will drive it in this first month is if companies start releasing their unaudited account, because December 31st is the last day for the fourth quarter of 2021. That means they have just 30 days to release their result for unaudited account for that quarter. It will come this month, it's going to give investors an insight on where the company is heading to. And if you have seen a better number from what they did the previous year, 2020, that tells that this company are likely to pay you a better dividend or not. That is what will drive the market. And also, liquidity will come. I don't believe that there will be any adjustment in rates for now. We know that the first MPC meeting will coming up in this January, but I don't see CBN adjust because yes, we are seeing some positive economic data trickling down, but it doesn't give enough strength for you to adjust your rate at this beginning of the year because you need to stabilize. Omicron is on the ground, and also you are thinking of whether removing of subsidy or not. Then you can't temper with.
Is that why the CBN has retained the monetary policy parameters for a while?
Well, yeah, so that we can recover from our what's it called? The pandemic. Yeah, that's why they left it up. They can't adjust it now because Omicron is on the ground now. For me, let's watch the trend in terms of the rate. The rate was to determine whether fund will still remain in equity market or go to fund. Before I finish, let's just look at the chart for today. The market closed positive yesterday. But looking at this chart, look at this point here. Let me just take a draft here. Let me just draw something here so that you will know that the market is really on a move now. Markets have covered all these points from here down to here. You can see that this is a resistance level here. Let me just take it for you to see yourself. See, we have covered now. You can see this what we call a rectangular trend. And here you can see that the market was oscillating between this rectangle before there's a breakout. And this breakout shows that market was up on the last trading day of the year, gaining 2.2%. Then yesterday, market gained 0.7%. But we're looking at market to break out this next point here. This is the point we're looking at. Once market break out this point again, that means the momentum of recovery is strong. You as an investor, you want to come back and look at what is the MACD saying. MACD is already crossing from the blue. You can see the red line and the blue line here up. It's a sign that this market is up already for the day yesterday. One for today, we expect that with the listing of Boa food, market is likely to also close positive if the demand for that stock remain up. For me, investors should not panic because we're already seeing sign that the trend, the chart is still positive and strong. Market is on a strong recovery, and once it break out 43,162, which is the next resistance level here, once it break it out up, that means market has entered another new trend again. For me, investors should just relax and watch the market. Seeing this, this volume symbol here, it says that the positive buy have been on the market for the past 3 days. It's a sign that yes, no investor should panic at all, but rather invest in those companies that has good dividend yield, fundamental, and they're having a positive technicals that will guide you on how to go for the day. And I believe that this week also, because we're expecting more information to come, we expect that will guide investors going through the week. But generally, the month of January, before in Nigeria, because of school fees payment, market is always down. But because of the new direction that came, that company must release the result in that within 30 days of January, that also changed the face of the market. That when numbers start coming, people are thinking of, oh, okay, this company can pay me dividend on the strength of their unaudited number. I can have position for their full year dividend coming in between February and March. For me, let's just keep our fingers crossed as investor. The market is still strong, and
so when are they likely to pay this dividend?
Dividend will start coming from February to April.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we hope for a profitable month and by extension a profitable year.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much, Ambrose Amodio, CRO, Invest Data Limited. Thank you so much for the robust analysis.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll take a short break. We'll be back to look at the commodity markets. Please stay with us.